If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. Now, tonight we're going to be talking all about the actor Alvaro Morte. But before we do, and before I introduce my guests, I want to remind you about a couple things coming up here at the Dusty Wheel. First of all, this upcoming Sunday, we're back here at the Inn talking about the Age of Legends with Amber and Tracy from Road to Tarvalon podcast. Can't wait to dig in deep to the Age of Legends, talk about all that we love, and hopefully bring up some new things that you might not know about the Age of Legends or forgot. And I want to show you this thing. I think this is a lot of fun. Oh, Taylor, you going to throw that up for me? The little screen that I've been posting on Twitter recently. Yes, this daily reminder. Hopefully you've enjoyed this out there. This is a reminder of the number of days that remain in the year, not the number of days until the show is released. Just we know that it's going to be released this year, so we had fun posting these. I'm just going to post them on Twitter every day until we know the actual release date, and hopefully you're all enjoying these. So, yeah, thanks for that, Taylor. Appreciate you posting that for me. And now, before I introduce my guests, as we like to do here with our cast or actor spotlights, let's set the stage by learning a little bit more about Alvaro Morte. Born in Spain, Alvaro Antonio Garcia Perez, known professionally as Alvaro Morte, comes from humble career beginnings. First as a practicing communications engineer, before acting became his full-time endeavor. His first acting credit came 3 years after, in 2002, after graduating from La Escuela Superior de Arte Dramático de Córdoba, as a firefighter on the TV show Hospital Central, a Spanish TV drama. He followed up as a lead in a number of shorts in 2003, such as Ignora and In the Hermits Lair. And over the ensuing decade, he starred in a significant number of recurring roles, gaining renown and a cult following for his work in Spanish television. Then in 2017, he gained global stardom as El Profesor in the mega hit La Casa de Papel, or as many English speakers know it on Netflix, Money Heist, a role for which he has won multiple Best Leading Actor awards, first from the Spanish Union of Actors and Actresses in 2019, and then the 7th Platino Awards in 2020. His star continued to climb as he landed his first main role in a feature film on Netflix, Mirage, in 2018. And he most recently starred in The Head, a Spanish-made English-language psychological thriller miniseries on HBO Max. Notably, he stars alongside fellow Wheel of Time on Prime actor Alexanderium in this chilling miniseries. With such capability, experience, and worldwide success, it's no surprise Alvaro was chosen for the role of Logain Ablar in the upcoming The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime TV series. So with that introduction, let's discuss becoming Logain. And to do that with me, let me welcome my two distinguished guests to the show, Malkier's King and Maddie. How you both doing tonight?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Cheers. Cheers.
How are you?
Excellent.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I love that you pointed this out, Maddie, before the show began. It is Matt, Maddie, and Matt. That's right. it's a show of the Maddies tonight. So that's a lot of fun. Thank you both for being here. Before we jump into actually talking about Alvaro's career and discussing some of the things we've watched in preparation for the show, I wanted to ask you both, what is it about Alvaro Morte? I know you both actually really like him as an actor. So maybe, Maddie, let me start with you. What is it that appeals to you about Alvaro Morte?
Well, I didn't know about him before La Casa de Papel. And I binged the first 2 seasons in like a weekend. And he's just really, really good in that role. I hadn't really watched that much more, but then I remember the day that it was announced that he would be Logain. And as soon as I saw the picture, I just started screaming and jumping up and down. I scared my cat because suddenly I can imagine him. He's so versatile that yeah. I just thought he's going to be great. Then I started watching more of his other stuff, and he really, he's very professional. He has a lot of range, and I think he's going to be really good. And then I guess just learning a little bit more about him. He seems like a very down-to-earth, nice person, quite aside from the acting.
Yeah, and I want to jump into that, talk a little bit about him outside of his acting career. But before I do that, Malkier's King, what is it that kind of strikes you about Alvaro Morte that made you want to be here tonight and talking about him?
Well, my answer is not nearly as interesting. The first I ever heard of him was when I watched Money Heist, and I just loved it. My wife and I watched the entire series that's out so far, and we are eagerly awaiting the final series with bated breath. But I felt this kind of kinship with him. I feel a very strong similarity in many ways. And that connection, I just felt this little connection with him. And I was like, there is something there. I like that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate having you both here. I'm really interested in seeing what you have to say about his, career. And I just want to remind everybody that has shown up tonight, this is our Becoming series. We've done a variety of these. We've covered all of the EF5, as we refer to them. We've covered Daniel Henney, Rosamund Pike also. And tonight was Alvaro Morte. And basically, this is our way of talking not just about what these characters look like, right? But what these actors have done, right? What is the work that has preceded them being part of the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime? And from that work, how can we gauge how they might embody this character? So let's do that. But like I said, I want to jump into a little bit about Alvaro that those of you that might not know about him. So let me do that first. This first one is actually an interesting piece of, just kind of what's happened to him over the last many years. He actually had a brush with cancer. And Maddie, I don't know if you want to go ahead and read this to us. You'll do a much better job in Spanish. But yeah, he kind of talked about this time. But yeah, go ahead and read that.
Okay. It says, al principio creía que me iba a morir, que me cortaban la pierna. Y no ha pasado nada. Pero en ese tiempo pensaba, si me muero dentro de 3 meses, ¿puedo hacerlo tranquilo? ¿He respetado a la gente que me rodea y que me quiere? ¿He sido fiel a mis principios? Contó a la revista Cocktail. Do you want me to translate it?
Yeah, give everyone a good translation of what that says for those of us watching in English.
He says, at first I thought that I would die, that they would cut off my leg, and nothing happened. But during that time, I thought, if I die within 3 months, can I die like at peace? Tranquilo, like at peace. Have I respected the people around me and the people that love me? Have I been true to my principles? And he tells this to La Revista Cocktail.
Yeah, I thought that when you talked about him, just, I think this really humanizes him, someone that's gone through this kind of event. If you have been through it or had a family member through something like this, yeah, you know that this changes people. And so, I thought this was an interesting part of his history and obviously a scary thing. And so obviously we're very happy that I believe it's been about 10 years since he's been cancer free. So really grateful for that. And also something interesting that fans might not know is I think he and his wife run a theater company, 300 Pistolas. And it actually is their objective with this is to kind of recuperate the classics in an innovative, honest, and authentic form, is what they say, without the artificial, to achieve kind of a direct, fresh, entertaining result. That's a really poor translation on my part. But so it's just kind of an interesting thing that they also do. Now, I know something that came up recently was actually Malkier's King. You had an interaction with him on Twitter. So I'm going to post that tweet up here. And why don't you talk about this?
Yes. So shortly after finishing the fourth season of Money Heist, I felt that I had to do this. I became obsessed with the song Bella Ciao, which is it's a revolutionary. It's an Italian revolutionary song that El Professor and his brother. They sing it, and they get the whole gang to sing it throughout the entire series, and it's kind of a common underlying theme. And from what I've read of it, it's had surges in popularity, but once Money Heist exploded and became as popular as it is, it took off again and has had all sorts of covers and it had another resurgence in popularity. So I tweeted out to Alvaro. I said, after watching La Casa de Papel, I now fully expect Rafe Judkins to have Alvaro Morte, Logain, sing Bella Ciao after he's captured before he's gentled, even if he has to do a quick rewrite and a reshoot to make it happen. And Alvaro saw that, and he retweeted that saying, "Of course I sang it. It's just that I don't know if it's going to be omitted in the editing process."
yeah. I think that kicked off a hashtag Let Logain Sing.
Yes.
Which would definitely be an interesting twist to that character. I don't think anyone's expecting that one.
Well, he can do it while he's being the false dragon and he's conquering, and that can be like their war song.
It's, I know that we're not getting into this aspect of the TV show is why he would be great as Logain, but you can see in that scene in Eye of the World where Logain is in the cage on the cart, being taken down the main thoroughfare in Camelin, when Rand is watching him, you can see him standing there and just defiantly singing Bella Ciao. Yes. I could totally see that.
Now we need it. Yep. That's it. What you've just done is you've made that Rafe. That's what we need. I've
been petitioning for the Wheel of Time to be a musical for years.
We need, yes. Well, and this is a good reminder. Someone asked in chat. Show does contain spoilers. So for the books, the first half of the show here, we're about to jump into it. We'll not really spend much time. We're going to be talking about the works of Alvaro Morte. So we're not going to be talking about the character of Logain and spoiling things. The second half of the show, we will be. But I will just remind you, this will contain some spoilers. We might run into it. I'll leave the banner up for anyone that's upset that we didn't warn them. But yeah, just know that that's the case. The last thing I want to bring up was before we jump into this first work, was a recent Esquire Spain answer that he gave to a question. This is it was a question about the Wheel of Time and his work there. And you can find this on WoTSeries.com. I left the link to this in the description below. But he replied to a question about the show. He said, "With this role, I've felt a great responsibility towards the people who love this saga so much. I've tried to make the character my own because I think it is a responsibility of the actors to bring something creative to the character. When they called me to tell me that I'd been cast, they also told me that I'll start recording in 2 weeks. So I didn't even have time to read the books. There's a lot of them, and this character appears from the third," this is a note in the translation note, he says third or fourth book in the video interview, "but Logain just had to be included now. So I was talking to the showrunner and the directors, and we tried to come up with something special that would have my personal touch. When this character from the saga was described to me, he seemed straight out of the Matrix, always dressed in black with his long black hair. Translator's note, the implication is long hair. A very elegant and serious guy. I wanted to break that down a bit and find the humanity in him. And at the same time, because of what his role in the series, it allowed for something very theatrical. He's a character who, despite having very natural reactions, feelings in her life, behaves dramatically. He's constantly performing. This allowed me to dig into something more theatrical, especially when he's interacting with other characters or when he's by himself, when he lets the mask slip. And because of that, I find it to be something very cool to work on. Hopefully the fans like it. I've really appreciated that from many of the cast that have answered questions, how much they've referenced. They know there's a large fandom and a lot of excited people about this, and how much they really hope that they bring it home for the fans. So, yeah, much appreciation for that, Alvaro. I want to remind everyone here, we're jumping in now to talk about Alvaro's career. And we're going to start this off going way back. This is, like I said, in the Hermit's Lair. This came out in 2003. It's a short film. And I read from a review of this, said it was from film school, but it's a monster movie. And I think, Maddie, you did see this one. This is one of the earliest things I could find. I think his first acting career credit was like 2002. So
looks like a baby.
Yeah, he looks like a baby. Yeah. So, and you can find the link to this in the description of this video if you want to go check this out. What did you think about this kind of short monster movie?
Well, it was a little bit cheesy.
Yeah.
It did seem very, very film school. Mostly, I was really amused watching it. But you can kind of see certain things like of the actor that he's going to become, like despite like the kind of. Well, because can I spoil it?
Yeah, you can spoil it.
Well,
we have a spoiler banner up. We are going to spoil the shows that we're talking about. So if you didn't realize that was going to happen, now you know. But yeah, go ahead and talk about the show.
He's this guy, and he calls. I suppose it's his ex-girlfriend because she's with somebody else, and he's really angry.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't pick up, and he smashes a mirror.
Yeah.
And then his hand is weird. Then we cut to the couple, and there's this monster. I didn't really know if it was supposed to be a werewolf or something like that. And of course, in the end, he's the monster. And what triggers the transformation is when he gets jealous.
Yeah. And
he killed the new boyfriend. The ex-girlfriend figures it out. So it's all kind of really cheesy. But like there's a moment when he sort of kind of starts to figure out what's going on, and he looks kind of like desperate and sort of angry about it. And it's like, yeah, like this is the guy that is going to go on and do all the other things that we see him do eventually. So it was interesting to see it. I liked it. I liked seeing him as a baby.
Well, what was interesting about this look that's on the, I put up the image again, and we're talking about La Guarida del Ermitano. There we go. In the Hermit's Lair. The look he has in this cover for this movie is the look that he has in the mirror, and it actually starts it off. Like it's one of the initial things. He's staring in the mirror cracks. And then he's almost like he's seeing something, and it did kind of have that like vibe of, like, like you said, creepy stalker becoming a monster in his head, but not being necessarily aware of it. So I thought it was it was an interesting take. Like I said, one of the earliest things that we could find that he had done.
Yeah, it was kind of on the nose, right? Like the guy that out of jealousy becomes a monster. So
yeah, exactly. Now. I recommend it. These are like 10 minutes. So if you want to know a little bit more about him and kind of how he began, where his acting career began, that's certainly one you can go check out. I have no idea what he would say about that show. I'd love to ask him, but it's not bad in the sense of like coming out of film school.
No, it's not bad.
I thought the actual show, I thought he did a good job embodying that character for the production value that we had. And you need to go see this, Malkier's King, is all I'm saying.
The other thing I found like really sort of funny, cute about this and the next one is he uses, like now, Alvaro Morte is a stage name. And back then he used his real name.
Right.
So.
And yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Because I would see his real name show up in like the credits, and I was like, is this the same? But you could see that it's him. So the second movie I wanted to talk about was also a short film right from the same year, and this was Ignora. And I think this one I liked much more than the previous one. The subject matter here, and like I said to people, since these aren't like rated in any way, if you go watch this, there is some adult content and themes for this one. The subject matter is abuse, and ignoring that in other, in the people around you. And so these individuals, they show up. I think it's his wife. Is that what you got? The wife, girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's deaf, and he basically is, I think, a cartoonist. I don't know. That's what it seemed like. He's an artist of some sort, and he's at home drawing during the day, and he hears this abuse occurring in the apartment next door. And it's like literally a 12-minute short that goes through kind of how he deals with that and how he interacts with it. And I don't have to tell you how it ends, but like I said, again, another interesting kind of character study of him being really internalized in his head about the things that were going on and how he was going to handle that and how they were affecting him in his work and his own relationships. So yeah, I really, again, both of these 10, 12 minutes. This one, like I said, has more adult content in it. So keep that in mind. But yeah, what did you think about this one, Maddie?
Well, I thought it was really interesting. I especially liked his girlfriend or wife is deaf, like you said.
Yeah.
So at one point they're making love, and while they're doing it, he starts hearing the guy abusing his wife or girlfriend in the apartment next door.
Yeah.
So like you start to, like, this is all in his face. He doesn't say anything, but you kind of see, like, he's thinking, like, my girlfriend doesn't even know that this is going on. Like, this is probably just a romantic moment for her because she's deaf. And for him, it's a completely different experience to be doing this while hearing all of this really horrible stuff going on. So I thought that he was really good in that.
The acting in his face. And by the way, we're not ignoring Malkier's King here. Malkier's King is going to give us lots of opinions here showing up. But just these first two, I knew coming in, he hadn't had a chance to watch these. So, but yeah, the acting in his face. Yeah, exactly.
Biding my time.
You're set up well to give your opinions here. Both of these, there's a lot of acting in just his face, if you will. There's a lot of stuff going on in his head, which I thought was really interesting for these two shorts. So, but yeah, again, obviously, know that that's the subject material you'll be watching. If you decide to watch these, the links are in the description of this video. Okay, so I want to move on from those two, and let's move on to La Casa de Papel, or Money Heist here. I know, Maddie, you don't want to call it by its... I think Money Heist is an interesting... I haven't seen enough of this to understand why they chose...
Well,
I get it.
La Casa de Papel literally means the house of paper, and it's where they print the money. But it also means, I mean, I understand why Netflix wanted to change the name, because they already have House of Cards. Because basically, Casa de Papel, the idiom means the same thing as House of Cards. So I get it, but like, you have all of these meanings with the original title that you completely lose, and it's just a very literal, it's a heist. Yeah. That's what this is.
Yeah. Well, Malkier's King, I know you've been waiting. You're biding your time. This one is obviously one that he's won awards for, as I mentioned as we introduced this. This is one of the ones that kicked off, like, he had a really large cult following, don't get me wrong, but this really kicked off into, global stardom. I understand that people call him El Profesor everywhere. Like, that's his name.
It would not surprise me.
So tell me what your thoughts were about, where he's at here in his acting career. What stood out to you from just his capabilities as an actor?
So the first thing that really stood out to me throughout the entire series is what he himself brought to it. Now, obviously, I don't know him personally, so I don't know what are specifically his mannerisms and his personal signature on it. But I think we mentioned this, I think, in the last the last time that I was a guest. What good actors do is they bring a part of themselves into the role. They find the aspect of themselves that matches the most important characteristics of the character, and that's how they bring life to the character.
Interesting.
They're not finding something. They're not finding something from outside. They're making that connection, and they're bringing their own personal take on it. Which is why, in some cases, almost anyone, not almost anyone, but multiple people could play a character, but it would be very different from one person to the next, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What is it you think that he then accomplishes here or brings?
So
in
there
for himself?
there are a number of things that I read that he himself added to the character to make him, I wouldn't say more well-rounded, but just more human, more real. So he doesn't wear glasses in real life, but he added this little tick of constantly adjusting his glasses, and I think he does origami himself, and he made that a thing for the professor to do. Whenever the professor is sitting down talking on the phone to the police, he's folding a paper crane. And actually, I think that's something that's important to him, because in the head, there's a scene where they're looking through his bedroom, and there are paper cranes like here and there.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a cool way to note.
I saw one of those and I was like, oh, I see what you did there. So he brings these little human aspects to his characters.
Sure.
And
I like that.
And one thing that I have watched, I haven't watched a lot of the older stuff that he did, but I've seen clips. I've started looking on YouTube and watching short clips of him. And the one thing that really stood out to me is that even across a wide variety of different characters, I never have a moment of disbelief. Like it's always, that character is always real. You know that an actor is good or a show is good when you just totally buy into it. And you know that there are some times when a character just doesn't quite fit it for you. Like I'm not knocking on Ice-T. I love Ice-T, but in Law and Order SVU, him as Finn, like there's just something about it that feels forced, you know?
Okay. Well, that's interesting, because if I would go back and look at this 2003, 2006 short films we talked about, and even though they were, maybe one was from film school and the other one was kind of a low budget short film, I will say that he came off believable in those roles for what they were. So, Maddie, I saw you raise your hand there.
Yeah.
And you wanted to say something that was being said. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I read several interviews today, and there's a quote from one. I'm going to read it in Spanish because I saw someone in chat say that they like Spanish.
Yeah.
And he says, para trabajar un personaje no necesito compartir lo que piensa, pero sí entenderlo. Si no entiendo lo que le pasa por la cabeza a un asesino, no puedo interpretarlo, which means to do a character, I don't need to share what they think, but I do need to understand them. If I don't understand what's going through the head of a serial killer, I can't interpret him. And there's another one that says, consiste en plantearle a la gente la pregunta, ¿tú qué harías? Y no darle la respuesta. Y eso es lo interesante, porque fomenta un debate, hace que reflexiones y te metas en la piel del personaje, pero para ello necesitamos hacer personajes empáticos, which means, like he's talking about how to make the characters believable and likable, and he says, it's about asking people, what would you do, but not giving them an answer. And he says, that's what's interesting, because it foments debate, it makes people think, and it makes you get under the skin of the character. But to do that, we need to make characters that are empathetic. And I think that has a lot to do with what Matt was saying, because like in La Casa de Papel, you have this guy that is like planning this huge robbery and stuff. And he actually makes a point in the show, right? Like, we want to have public opinion on our side.
Right.
And he's like this kind of very introverted, kind of nerdy, almost antisocial guy, but you like him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with his characters. They just seem like real people, and you like them.
So I was thinking about his first character when he gets locked
Well,
in
yeah,
the cell, and he's like, "Let me
yeah.
out! I'm fine down here." Well, it was funny. I was like, "Yeah, she should let him out." I know it's like a cliche for monster movies, but he does seem like I believe him. Yeah. No. By the way, if you're just running in, we're talking about Alvaro Morte, and we're talking about his work on La Casa de Papel, or Money Heist. And if you are here for the first time, please do like this video so other people can find it. And if you enjoy Wheel of Time live content on a weekly basis, subscribe to us. We'd love to have you here with us here at the Dusty Wheel. And if you are watching this on social media, over on Facebook and Twitter, hope you've enjoyed this kind of sneak peek. You've seen the first third of the show. We're going to continue talking about other things that Alvaro Morte has worked upon. And then we're going to talk about Logain, the character. We're going to open the phone lines up. So if you want to continue watching this, come over here on YouTube with us. Just type in the Dusty Wheel. You can find us over here and jump into chat. We'd love to hear your comments. We'll bring some of them into our conversation as we go. So thank you for being with us from over on Twitter and Facebook, but that'll be the end of the night for you. Stay here if you're on YouTube. Any other comments from the two of you as far as his work when it comes to La Casa de Papel? Anything else that stands out? I see something. Malkier's King, what are you going to say?
Yes, I wanted to point out Maddie had an excellent point there. One of the things that really made Alvaro shine as El Profesor, you can laugh at my Spanish, as the professor, was that the professor is a villain, right? He is a thief. He's coordinating the biggest heist in history, but you like him. You want to like him. You want him to succeed, right? In this show, they're making the police to be the bad guys, even though the police are the ones who are upholding law, and he's the villain. And if they didn't have someone who you liked, it wouldn't work at all.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think let's keep that in mind when we get to the end of this conversation, because I like where this conversation is going or headed. Yeah, go ahead, Maddie.
The other thing, like, aside from his acting, I think he is still the cast member with the biggest following on social media, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
think
6
so.
million followers or something.
And that's due to La Casa de Papel. Like, when I started following him on Instagram and stuff, and I started seeing, like, it shows you people that follow the same people, right? So there's people I know, like here in Costa Rica, that have absolutely nothing to do with fandom, with anything like that. Like a normie, and they follow him on social media. They like his stuff. And then when season 3 came out, like, I remember going up the stairs to my parents' apartment, and like you could hear through the doors people watching La Casa de Papel, like the opening song and stuff, which is really, really recognizable. Like here, everybody watches it. It came out, and that's what everybody was talking about. So there's people that are going, like what you guys said when. On the one about Lan, there's people Daniel, that are about Daniel. There's people that are going to watch because of him.
Right. Yeah, and that's the exciting thing is, and because it does seem like, even just from a personality standpoint, because he is a sympathetic person, right? Like there's something that you brought out about that, Maddie, that you said. Yeah, he just seems like a normal person, and fun, and someone that you want to follow. And Malkier's King, you brought that up too. There's something like you felt like you kind of, there was some type of connection there. So I think that hopefully will play out well in our, as in our discussion as we go on here. Over the next 10, 15 minutes, I want to finish up these last 3. One of the first ones, now we didn't see, Malkier's King and I have not seen this one, but you mentioned, Maddie, that you had seen Mirage on Netflix. I know you mentioned briefly you'd just seen it a while back. Is there anything that you pull from his capabilities as an actor from that show that we haven't talked about?
It was the first other thing that I watched him in. And like, in La Casa de Papel, he already has a lot of range, right? Like he's acting as a guy that is acting a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But then you go to Mirage, and it's a completely different character. And like he does the nerdy thing so well in La Casa de Papel. So then to see him in this other role in which he plays the husband. And I'm not going to spoil, but because it's actually a really good movie. Really fun movie. If you like timey-wimey sort of stuff, watch it. It's fun. So he, at the start, what you see is like sort of this nice husband who's kind of sexy with his wife, and it's completely different. So it was really nice to see from like that point of view. But he's an important plot point, but he's not himself a huge character in that movie.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you seen him any? Not that this is necessarily as applicable outside of this discussion, but has he been in any really humorous roles? I would assume so, but I haven't seen him in any.
I haven't seen
humorous roles. Okay,
yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious what his take is on humor in movies. Now I want to jump to this next one that I know Malkier King has also seen, which is one that involves, that I mentioned, another. I don't know if you call him alum, but another actor from the Wheel of Time and Amazon Prime. Alexanderium was also in this show, The Head. I don't know if everyone out there has seen The Head. I actually thought it's like a miniseries, 6 episodes. I did the same thing. I think both Maddie and Malkier King, I think you both said like you watched it all or you binged it. And I remember watching the first one going, okay, I need to know how this ends. So I recommend it. You just go watch it. It's six episodes. I think this one's on HBO Max, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So if you happen to have that, it's definitely worth seeing. But Malkier King, okay, so this is his, I think, most recent work that we can kind of pick from. Anything that stands out to you, because this character isn't like central the entire time. Was there anything that stuck out to you from his performance or his capabilities as an actor in this one?
It stuck out to me. He's a very different character from the professor. He plays a chef down in the Antarctica on their winter expedition, and where they're basically stuck through the entire sunless night for 6 months in Antarctica, and he has a violent streak in him.
Yeah.
And he pulls that off very, very well. It was I wouldn't use the word impressive. It was impressive at how well he was able to pull that off. That kind of, it was almost like a switch where he was just normal, and then he'd get angry and violent, and then calm down.
Well, and there's this one portion of it. Again, this is full spoilers for the stuff you haven't seen. The Head. I guess you can mute yourself just for a moment. I'll give you like a thumbs up, or I'll just come back in like a minute or two, whatever it is. But there's a moment in this series close to the end where you see an interaction between him and Alexandra's Viom's wife, and she's explaining to him kind of what she knows about him, and he just kind of crumbles in that moment.
Yep.
And it was just I thought that was really well done. Again, he's not a huge part of this. He's just part of this group, and he's always there. I just love that. Again, he's definitely someone that stands out in the show when you're watching it. But yeah, the whole like violent streak thing, that's interesting to kind of pull out there. Maddie, anything that stands out to you about The Head?
I think you guys have said a lot about his actual performance, but I was thinking about interviews that I've read.
Yeah.
And like one of the things he was talking about The Head, and he's friends with the writer, I think, with the script writer. So he was saying that they got together, and he's like, "Oh, I wrote this thing," and showed him. And so Alvaro was like, I need to be in this. Like, I don't care what role, I want to be in this. And then when he kept going on about it, he said, it's a small, like, it's not a big part, it's a secondary character, but he said he's always interested in like what drives the character independently of whether they're as important as others, because that's like, that's what he brings to it. So like when you're watching, like I had all of these theories about the stuff that you don't know about him. I was wrong.
Gotcha.
If you know me, like Master of the Deck probably knows where my mind went.
Gotcha. And you were wrong. Gotcha.
And I was wrong. But and then I read another interview where he was talking about fame, and like he's really famous now, and he's like, well, but like I'll be in Covent Garden in London eating, and we have to like go like further inside the restaurant because people are outside taking pictures of me, and that's hard to deal with. And he says like, I mean, it's nice to get recognition, but he says I would have been happy playing secondary roles my whole life if they're interesting.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, even from the work he's doing with 300 Pistolas, their theater company, that, and again, just how seriously he took this character and what he brought to it, and then the quote that I read at the beginning about, you know, his excitement to jump into Logain as a character, even though he didn't know much, but he still cared about knowing enough to feel like he connected with that character. Anything else you wanted to add here? We're talking about the head. If you just joined us, talking about Alvaro Morte's experience here from an acting standpoint, what stands out? Any final notes on this one, Malkier's King? Oh, yeah, Maddie, go ahead.
I have one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that he mentioned, and if you look at it, like when you watch La Casa de Papel, because of the character he plays, like he makes himself sort of smaller and less threatening a lot of the time, like the whole nerdy persona thing. But in the head, like he even seems physically bigger, right? Like he's not, like he's a fit guy, but he's not like a super muscular type of guy. But the way he carries himself, like he just seems bigger than he is. Yeah,
that stands out. Malkier King, any other thoughts there?
Not for the head, but okay. I remembered there was one thing that I had mentioned to you in our chats that I had wanted to bring up regarding La Casa de Papel, which was that there was a moment towards the end, I think it was the last episode of season 3. And I know we're doing full spoilers, but I'm not actually going to say what happens here. But there is a moment of extreme personal anguish where in that moment, when you look at him, you're like, that is Logain being gentled.
Okay. Yeah, so in this season 3, I am not there yet. I am in season 1.
I'm pretty sure I know.
I'm glad you didn't ruin it for me.
So I'm not gonna say what happened, but he experiences a moment of extreme personal anguish.
Okay.
And his facial expression and his physical reaction.
Yep.
It's like if you go into the show knowing that he is going to be Logain, you're like, that's it. That's it. They could have just cut that out and put it in, and you'd be like the exact same thing.
Now I want to cheat and go just rush to the episode versus watching the series. But I should watch the series. Everyone's said really good things about it. Obviously, it's extremely popular. I'm going to sit there and watch the rest of it. One last movie I wanted to bring up, show El Embarcadero. This one, I want to say this is on Hulu right now.
Yeah.
And I've watched about 2 episodes of this one, and he's certainly in this one a lot. He's a lead role here, and again, quite an interesting character study. I don't really know what to think about him as a character yet because I've just watched the first 2 episodes, trying to understand that character that he's trying to embody in this show. Maddie, anything stand out to you on this one before we move on to Logain?
Well, I binged the first season last week after we talked. After you told me it was on Hulu, because I didn't know. I'd watched the first episode like months before, and he's actually talked about this character when he was talking about having to understand. Spoilers for El Embarcadero. He is a guy that has a secret life. Like he has his wife and he has a girlfriend that he has a daughter with. But that's like a tiny part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Like you kind of like him, you kind of get him. It's also like he does a lot of these really sort of introverted roles, right? Like there's moments where it's just like, where he's kind of looking into the night and he's like contemplating where his life has gone wrong, because he's not happy about having two women. Like he's not like, oh, I'm hot stuff. Like he's like, I'm ruining my life, because he did. So it's like the whole thing with emotions playing across his face, and you don't really, it's really a sort of mystery. You don't really know what was going on, and he's not telling you.
Yeah.
But
and that's what it feels like.
Yeah. He's really good at conveying like sort of how he's conflicted about everything, and how he doesn't see a way out, and why he does what he does at the very beginning of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, and that double life aspect, you see it every time a camera passes and someone goes out of view, his demeanor changes immediately. Like an interesting work. Of all those, which one would you recommend most? Malkier's King, for all the ones you saw, what do you think people should go watch tonight after this show?
I mean, it's going to take more than one night, but Money Heist, absolutely.
Money Heist or La Casa de Papel, you should go see that. I'm going to start watching that one. Maddie, is there one of these where you would say definitely go spend time on this one?
Well, go watch The Head, because you're going to have Logain and Tom in one show.
That's true. When we talk about Tom, which will be in the next couple months, this show is going to come back. I absolutely, I don't want to derail the show. I loved his performance.
I was watching like the one comment I'll make, and there's one point where he's walking down the hallway and, oh, that's the Tom we're going to get. Okay, I get it. I know what they're going for.
It's a really good one. So yeah, I like that idea of watching The Head and Money Heist. It makes sense. It's his latest work, and certainly some of the things he's won awards for. So yeah, check it out. And
also,
go ahead. Yeah.
Google the lyrics for Bella Ciao so you can sing along.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, note to Rafe and his team, we need some Logain, even if it's just like, blooper reel or something, singing to the Aes Sedai, that'd be awesome. So, okay, hopefully everyone enjoyed our discussion. Hopefully you've been inspired to go see some things here that Alvaro Morte has done. And we're going to move over to talking about Logain now and talking about what we believe are the core characteristics. You're going to play a part here in chat with us. Can't wait to ask you that question. And as a reminder, this is a live call-in talk show. Yes, you can give us a call, give us your opinions about Alvaro Morte's performances, and also tell us what you think about Logain. This is the moment if you want to give us a call. We'd love to bring you into the show. And we'll let you know if the queue is obviously open right now. The number is 1313-825-5968. That's 1313-TALK-WOT. Okay, Logain. Malkier's King. When someone says Logain, what is the core characteristics? Give me two or three that where you think that is what this character is in the books, or tells us something about that character.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have a lot to choose from. Let's go with Maddie first.
Okay.
That's not fair.
So
this is my MO. I like to let other people go.
Yes,
first,
yes it is.
I can think.
I should have said, Maddie, give us
I
the top seven. Give us one characteristic about Logain where you think to yourself, Rafe and his writing team need to get this right about Logain. And for those of you in chat, love to hear your opinions too. What does Rafe and the writing team have to get right about Logain to nail it in the show?
Well, he's complicated. Like, he's this guy, like, he started a war, he killed a lot of people, but then you have to turn around and you have to, like, have sympathy for him after he's gentled. And then his whole thing, like, he has moments where he's really villainous. And then he redeems himself, kind of despite himself. Like, he's actually one of my top 3 favorites. So he's just like this really complex character with a lot of sides. He, like, on the one hand, he's in it for himself, like for revenge at one point, for glory. And he winds up doing good sort of despite himself. But you also feel he's, like, deep down he's good. Like, spoilers, but he resisted being turned for how long? a really long time.
Right.
And so it's like he has done bad things, but he's really not evil to have managed to do that. And he also has to be charismatic. Right? Like,
Okay, so yeah, that's a good one to bring up. I love the charismatic. I would have forgotten about that one. So yeah, I love that. And you brought up. I want to go back on these complicated. I think that is key because there's this idea of does he want glory for the right reasons? And what I mean by the right reasons is, he obviously is resisting evil, resisting being turned, but also seems to kind of have his own way or the highway kind of way about things. Like he is the one that knows the right way to do things. And that's how at least I've always kind of read him. Like he doesn't want to play along, right? He wants to do it his own way, even when, he's gentled or whatever. As soon as he gets healed, he's immediately seeing kind of avenues of what could this mean for him now. And so, yeah, I think complicated and charismatic are two great kind of call outs. Malkier's King, now that you've had time and you've heard all of Maddie's wonderful answers in this, what can you add to this conversation? What does Rafe and his team have to get right about Logain?
I think trauma actually describes it best.
Okay.
There are a lot of characters suffer great traumatic experiences, and by great I don't mean great as in wonderful, but I mean great as in scope. They're huge trauma. Rand, that's all he suffers through the entire thing. It's trauma after trauma after trauma. Egwene is trauma after trauma, but it's not described like explicitly in your face as trauma, right? With Logain, his description, from the first time you see him after he's been gentled, you see him suffering depression. So he's this character from that moment, from the reintroduction, so to speak. He is a survivor of these mental health issues. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but he's a survivor of depression, and he's trying to get over it. And I think even once he is healed, I don't think that depression doesn't just go away. It turns into something else, and it kind of manifests as this darkness inside of him. So that trauma, that overt trauma, that really in-your-face trauma, I think is a very important aspect of Logain as a character.
Yeah, I love that you added those two items here. I want to tackle them really quickly, but and we have two callers coming up. Just to remind everybody, love to hear your opinions here in chat of what you can add to this conversation. Like, what is it you believe Rafe and his team have to get right? Maddie's brought up charismatic and complicated, and that he has kind of some type of villainous aspect to him, which I think there is a darkness that Malkier's King you just kind of added. Seems like there's a little bit of darkness there. And there is a trauma survivor aspect of what's going on. And of course you can't ignore the taint itself, right? So you have to add that, and it adds to that complexity. So yeah, I think that the character study we're starting to build out here. It is someone, Logain, does anyone recall that was watching how old Logain is in the books? Yeah.
Late 20s.
In the books? Yeah, he's 27 or 28 in the books.
Okay. In the book.
Alvaro Morte is 45 or 46.
Yeah, I think he's in his 40s. Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting about it is we're not getting the character that's, we're not getting a teenager that's running into this, right? And someone that's tasted the power of that position, right? He's tasted power and then being gentled. There's a survivor aspect from that, from having that power. And it definitely seems like he wants it again. So with those things in mind, we have two callers. Let me bring our first caller into the show from India. Hey, is this Dajat? Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Hello. I don't know if you can hear us.
Hi, this is Diljit. Can you hear me?
Dajit. Yeah, Dajit, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hi, good evening there. Good evening to all the panelists, and again, a wonderful show as always.
Thank you.
Good evening.
So what are your thoughts about Logain?
Logain, I don't really want to go into the acting aspects because that is something you've aptly, you discussed it and you make a lot of valid points. I just wanted to see and get your thoughts on, do you think Amazon Prime will sort of market him as, although Logain, again, is not the biggest character, but the actor itself, given the success of Money Heist, has a huge fan following in, countries like India, like Netflix India. This show was #1 show for all, I guess 2 years. And and even now, whenever a new season drops, it's like people are crazy, and especially his character, the professor. As you mentioned, people love his character. And so, again, he could be a face that the international audience, I was discussing with Ruth in the chat, and he mentioned that Rosamund Pike might be the biggest star, but then he could be a face that many, many people recognize globally.
Yeah, I love bringing that up to this conversation, which is because this goes back to Rafe's comment about expanding Logain's role. You can almost think of Logain...
given Netflix being an OTT platform and Amazon Prime being another one and a competitor, they would definitely like to use his success in Money Heist and market him accordingly. But again, I don't know. I just want to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, and Malkier's King, do you think that to Dajit's question, do you think that Alvaro Morte is going to be a face of the show? I know Rosamund Pike is obviously the face of the show, but do you think that Alvaro Morte will be billed just as much, or maybe slightly less than her, but as a face to sell the show?
I would be surprised if they don't use him to sell the show.
Yep.
Yeah,
you don't cast El Profesor to have a little tiny part. You don't, and Alvaro Morte has no reason to take a tiny part. Like when he was announced, like on the one hand, I was like, yes, I really like this actor. On the other hand, it's like, this is confirmation that Rafe really did expand his character, because you don't get this actor unless you did that.
Yep. Well, I think we're going to, I believe the expansion of this role is going to be much more significant than we think it is. And especially in the first season, I think we will get a lot more of him. I'd be surprised if we don't see him in episode 1. I know, yes, and later episodes, but yeah, go ahead, Malkier's King.
Especially, I think it was WoTSeries, one of their articles when they found some information about shooting in Spain. And if I remember correctly, they were saying that they were projecting that it seemed like it was the King of Gildan that with Logain. Like I think Alvaro Morte was filming there, and I don't remember if it was pickup shots or if it was just the scenes that they were filming. But if they're adding that scene, then it stands to reason that they're also going to be adding some of the battle against the Aes Sedai where they captured Logain, and like that's really fleshing it out and bringing stuff that we didn't see. And somebody even mentioned at one point, I believe, that this could be a way of either redirecting, trying to make you think that Logain is the Dragon Reborn, or even using it to show people what Rand has to be afraid of, thinking that he might be the Dragon Reborn.
Right.
And also, this is an opportunity. Like they take him to the White Tower. He's gentled, and this is an opportunity for students to study him, studiously, to really get into him, figure out when a man that has been gentled, what happens to him, the process that happens to him. So it kind of also works with getting into how the White Tower works, how they see men that channeled and that have been gentled. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a really interesting opportunity.
Yeah, and I went to try to go look, that's right, live. I was trying to look at Geekieri's breakdown. For those of you who don't know who Geekieri is, broken down each of the block filming that they've done, and block 1 and block 2. I was trying to see if I could find a spot in her video where it showed that Alvaro Morte, that we knew he'd be part of episodes 1 and 2. It's just hard to believe that with the setup that they're going to be doing, that we wouldn't. I feel like we're going to get something as set up for episodes 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, that kind of grouping where it will make sense. I doubt they'll just drop him in 3 episodes into the series. That's my guess, at least.
Yeah, like I think people have said this, that he's going to be a red herring. You're going to think that he's the actual dragon.
Sure.
And
yeah,
I think that's true.
Yeah, I absolutely. Thank you very much for calling in and bringing this topic up. I really appreciated that. And is there a particular, before we let you go, is there a particular Logain scene, either off screen that you hope to see, or one that you know, from the books that you look forward to seeing on the show?
I mean, if he's introduced in the first episode, as some of us might believe, I don't think it might happen. But we discussed in the previous stream that, you know, Logain's gentling would be a good scene to actually see on screen, and if that happens, I'd be really happy, because I think that has capability for to show a lot of acting range and whatnot.
Yeah, that one, and like Malkier's King brought up, apparently there's a scene in La Casa de Papel in one of the seasons that makes it seem like we're seeing him being gentled. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting choice from Rafe and his team if they do make that choice and bring that scene into the show. Yep. Hey, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much for calling. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you in chat.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah, thank you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was saying that there's also a scene, like I wrote it down in episode 13 of the first season, which I rewatched this week. He gets a phone call, and he gets like some really devastating news, like something that could totally mess up their plan. And he has to kill someone, and he didn't want to have to kill someone. And just the way that he, like after that, like he kind of stumbles and sort of like hunched over, and like he has this huge weight on top of him. And I was watching that, and I was like, that's Logain after he's been gentled.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. Again, I can't wait to see his take on Logain. I love that he wants to bring something to it. It's gonna be really fascinating what they've decided to do with him. Let me bring our second caller into the show. Many of you know this caller well. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel Master of the Deck. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Hello, friends.
Hello.
Hi.
So were you calling in to give us some characteristics that you think they can't get wrong about Logain to do it right, or just some thoughts about Alvaro Morte, or all of the above?
All of the above, I suppose. I did also want to say I've been looking forward to this particular episode for a long time. I'm really glad that Matt and Maddie are both guests here. I've been really enjoying your commentary from all of the different things that I haven't seen. I have actually only watched La Casa de Papel. So, but even just from that, I love Alvaro.
I thought you were going to watch The Head tonight. You said you were going to watch The Head.
I watched most of the first episode. I forgot it was a TV show. And then you were like, yeah, it's a TV show, actually. And I was like, crap, I don't have enough time.
Well, yeah, it's been a fun night.
HBO Max doesn't even let you watch it on 2X. So, you know, you can't even speed it up.
You can't speed it up. Nice. We haven't really kind of focused too much on Logain. Are we missing anything here, Mash the Deck? We have down charismatic, complicated, trauma survivor, you know, a bit villainous at times, you know, but also steadfast. Anything else that stands out to you that really makes Logain Logain?
I think I really liked when you brought up the word survivor, because I feel like that kind of embodies Logain's journey throughout the books. That he's a character who goes through a lot of rises and falls, you know, one step forward, two steps back, you know, and when he falls hard, but he does get back up again. That seems to be kind of like thematically central to his character. I think you've really covered my big things about him, but I can give you an opportunity to explore some more. The question that I had for you guys.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I mean, I think Logain is pretty complicated. He's a character where Robert Jordan and Brandon both get to explore gray morality and trauma, like you brought up, and power. And he's very dynamic in all of those different things that happen to him. So there's always more to dig into on that. So kind of going along with what you talked about on Sunday's show, what aspects of Logain's character that we maybe don't get to explore as much in the books do you think Alvaro is uniquely suited to portraying in the show?
Ooh, that's a... Well, so I don't know if one's coming to mind for you, Maddie. I have one. If I can jump in there, but go ahead.
I don't like. It's not okay. The thing about Logain in the books is that we don't see enough of him. Like this was such a missed opportunity.
Right.
And then like the one thing, aside from the math thing, the thing about Brandon Sanderson that I'd like to ask him is, why didn't you spend more time in Logain's head? But okay. That aside, it's not so much that like we do see we see this when we do see him on screen, but it's like he's played so many introverted roles.
Yeah.
It's not even about what he says, but just what is on his face that reflects like his inner life, his inner turmoil. And I think that's what we're going to get. Like we're going to see Logain like on one side humanized and sort of seeing like maybe he said like in the quote that you brought up, like where he says that he's this character that has really human reactions, but he's theatrical, like he's putting on a show sort of for the world, like I'm the Dragon Reborn at the beginning. So yeah, I think that's what he's going to bring to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like what you're bringing up here, which is, and everyone's remarking on Malkier's King being sideways. But you're back, Matt. Little bubble of evil couldn't stop you.
No, my computer died. Just all the
We still are glad to have you back with us. Yeah, there's a certain aspect of him. We don't get enough of him. So I think just getting more is going to be great. And like you said, Maddie, we were talking about just like in his head, what's going on with Logain. We almost always are just from the outside in. So that's what I want to see. I want to get to the core of him as a person and his motivations and how he's ticking. That's kind of what I want to see about it. Yeah.
Another thing, since I don't know if Kayla is still on the line.
Yeah.
When we get Mazrim Taim and we have the two of them interact, like Alvaro Morte has chemistry with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need sparks to fly. I need it to be like, one of those face-off things. Instant hatred. I need it.
Yep.
Face off. Oh man, I can now see Alvaro Morte and whoever they picked for Taim and face off now. That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much.
That actually reminds me, before you kick me out, I think that Logain is sassy, and that we don't get enough of sassy Logain in the books. But you can just feel that as part of his essence, where Alvaro is talking about how he's kind of dramatic. I think if we get some of that sass, especially with, that big old, like, shit-eating grin that Alvaro has, it'll be amazing.
Yeah. I never would have used that term, but I now can see it for sure. I love it. Hey, thank you so much, Master of the Deck, for bringing the questions and for calling in. And we'll see you back. We'll see you back in chat.
Bye, Kayla.
Good night.
See you later.
See you.
Bye.
Good night.
Yeah, I saw some other words come up in chat here. Arrogant, confident, determined, haughty. I think those are really good to add here, right? I think we're kind of building out a nice grouping of characteristics here. We have three more callers. This will be our last three callers for the night. Let me bring our next caller in to the show. Welcome, Brian, to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing great. This is the first time I've called into your show.
Well, thank you.
I've been reading the books ever since 1991, just after they came out.
Nice.
The first one came out, and I'm so excited to see this coming to Amazon, and they gave it the budget it deserves. And I'm really excited to see Logain on the screen too. His character has such an amazing journey, and his strong willpower serves him throughout the entire series. And I look forward to seeing that on the big screen, or on the screen. Since I have a large screen TV at home too.
Well, I love the idea of willpower is a great one for Logain. I think that's when Rafe said, I know fans have had kind of anxiety about changes, but when Rafe said they're expanding Logain's role, I was like, yes, I am 100% on board with this. Do something really good with it, because that was one of the things I disliked from the books. So yeah, that's great. Is there a particular thing you hope that they bring out in Logain? For example, everyone talks about his gentling scene, but besides that scene, are there things that you hope to see on screen that we only get from the books just in passing?
Well, the scene that really struck me was when he's in the cage coming into the city, and Rand sees him for the first time. Even though he's captured, he's got surrounded by guards and everything, it's almost like they're his entourage.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to hopefully they portray that.
Yeah, Matt, this is the scene that Malkier's King would love to see him begin singing. as he rides in singing Bella Ciao. I don't think we're going to get it, Malkier's King. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, that is a scene. That would be a disappointment, I think, to not get that that scene of him kind of entering. I think I'd be bummed if we didn't see that one. Whatever they have planned for the character, that is one of those kind of classic moments. You get it from Rand's point of view. It would be awesome to get it from inside the cage also, looking outward. So yeah, great thoughts here, Brian. Thank you very much for being a first-time caller and for sharing that thought on Logain. Have you seen any of the stuff before I let you go? Have you seen anything that Alvaro Morte has done? And does that make you more excited to see him in the show?
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I'm certainly glad they chose a Spaniard for the role. I love Spain, and it's a wonderful country too. And I like some of the shows that have come out of there. I just haven't seen any of his.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. I always say Logain Ablar now. like now that I know, it's
Logain,
now I'm adding
Ablar.
Logain
yeah,
like Ablar. Logain speaks. Yeah. Ablar. Brian, thank you very much for being with us, man. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate
Have
the
a
call.
wonderful day.
You too.
Can I say, like since he brought up I'm not like, Spaniards are Europeans, I'm Latin American, right? So it's completely different. But I'm like, we're still like, Spaniards are Latin Americans, we're Hispanic, we share the same language. So it's really like, for me, it's really nice. Like, okay, he's European and everything, but it's like a little bit closer.
Sure.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Like also Jennifer Chion Garcia, she's Canadian, she's half Korean, she's half Mexican. And from her social media, she seems to be really in touch with like her Mexican roots. And like I really appreciate that. I would really like Diego Luna on the show, Gael Garcia Bernal for how is he pronounced? Rodel. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Rodel.
Yeah, like I think Gael Garcia would be great. Like, let's have more Spanish-speaking people on there.
In the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's many more roles to come. Malkier King, thank you, by the way, for returning to be with us tonight. Even though your computer died, appreciate your willpower and your steadfastness returning us. Anything else we're missing about Logain here, or now maybe tell us where you think there's a convergence of what we just described as Logain and then Alvaro Morte's work?
So there is one important aspect that we haven't covered yet, which is his redemption arc.
Okay.
At the very end, obviously major spoilers, he is obsessed with power. He's obsessed with the idea of trying to get enough power that no one can ever cage him again, which if you think about it, was actually fairly similar to Egwene in her earlier arc. But he had this crossroads where he had to choose between trying to get that sangreal or going to save Kyrian. And ultimately he chose he chose to save the people rather than trying to pursue his own personal power. And that was his moment of redemption. And I think that arc is extremely important to the character itself. And having seen Alvaro play various roles, I think he's gonna kill it. Yeah,
absolutely. Just think about this: charismatic, check. Complicated, yeah. He's definitely shown those chops in the previous work that he's done. Can he have a little villainous, and arrogance and confidence and determination and willpower? Yeah, he can. I think I'm absolutely confident he can bring that. And then there's some complexity in the trauma and survivor aspects that I think also stand out in his work that I think we'll see. And also that kind of internalized monologue in his head. Like I said, from those earlier shows, even those like short films, I was a believer that he could kind of handle some of those internalized aspects of that character. So yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. We have 2 other callers. Let me bring them in. I want to get your final thoughts on Logain, Alvaro Morte, and then we'll call it a night here at the Dusty Wheel. Let me bring to the show someone we all know well. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel, Norm. Norm, how you doing? Cheers, man.
Great, Innkeeper. As always, I raise my glass to you, good sir, and to Matt and Maddie. Hello, everyone. I raise my glass to you as well, and to, of course, to everyone in chat. I see you. What's up?
It's awesome to have you here, man. So are you here to talk about Alvaro Morte, Logain, or both?
You know what? Mainly, I want to talk about Logain. But there is one thing that, and everyone's pretty much stole my thunder. I mean, with the whole, arrogance and the redemption arc, that Matt responded. But there's one thing that I think that there's a parallel, and one thing that I would like to see with Logain that Alvaro hopefully can bring, and that is, I've always seen Logain as a little bit of a narcissist, a little bit as well. Because you want to hate Logain. You try to like him, but there's just something about him that just pushes you away. But then at the same time, because of his overconfidence, because of his charisma, because of his aura, whatever it is, people flock to the guy. I mean, if you look at how the Black Tower, congregated to him when he showed up. But I parallel Logain's journey, and I know it came first, so yes, spoiler alert, everyone. I mean, everyone already knows that I am the resident nerd. I parallel him to Jaime Lannister, where you just want to hate the guy, and then all of a sudden something really horrible happens to him, as we know, Logain, and the same thing happened with Jaime when he lost his hand. You go, oh man, damn it, I don't want to like this guy, but you feel sorry for him, and then when he gets his abilities back, then he's back to his old self again. It's like, oh, damn it, now I have to hate him again. But then something else happens, and, just like Matt said, you have that redemption arc that shows up, and it's like, oh, okay, fine. I want to see those aspects, just those little nuances where you just, I hate him. Like, okay, maybe I don't. Okay, I hate him again. I want that roller coaster ride, because that is pretty much Logain's journey. It's a serious, effed up roller coaster ride. So that's what I want to see.
I love this idea that
makes sense.
You've made him the Jaime Lannister of the Wheel of Time, and I think I'm on board with this idea.
Yeah.
I love this. Very, very well said, sir. Thank you very much for bringing this into the show tonight. I'm going to get my panelists' comments on this connection between Logain and Jaime here after I let you go. Final thoughts of the night, though. Which of all of the shows we've discussed tonight are you going to go watch? I know you're big about not watching any of these shows, but come on, man. Pick up one of these shows and get to know Alvaro Morte's work.
If I had to watch one, it would be La Casa de Papel, because just to honor you, Maddie, I won't say the English title. So if I had to watch something, I'll watch that. I'll watch that tonight, or at least sometime soon, because I do have Netflix, so I'll watch it.
It's really good.
Okay.
Watch it on a weekend when you don't have to go out.
That's right. There you go.
Okay.
Man. Hey, Lancer, as always, thank you very much for spending the time and sharing your thoughts with us, man. Have a good night, okay?
Take care, buddy.
Take care.
Good night.
So, yeah, to this point, Maddie, Jamie Lannister of The Wheel of Time, do you like this analogy?
Well, I mean, they're not quite the same, but they like the whole like the bad boy that you love, the sexy bad boy. I like that. So yeah, sure.
The sexy bad boy. Do you like this, Malkier's King? Do you see some type of resonance?
Well, I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we didn't want to steal all of his thunder, so we left that one for him.
Yeah, we had to leave him something. You're welcome, Norm. Yeah. We gave you something.
It was just for you, Norm.
Yeah, it was just for Norm. It was just for Norm. Our final caller of the night. Let's welcome them to the show. Welcome, Stubby, to the Dusty Wheel tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Matt. How are you?
Excellent. We're coming to the end of talking about Alvaro Morte. We're also less than 177 days away from getting the Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime. So I am feeling good. It's happening in 2021.
Who's counting?
Me too. So I have to agree with everything Norm said about the Jamie Lannister of the story. Okay. I like that. I want to bring up, I got a couple of things I wanted to bring up now because of a lot of things that were said was I want Logain to keep saying he's the Dragon Reborn because he kept saying, well, I could have been the Dragon Reborn. History changes the story. I could have been the Dragon Reborn. I love that arrogance. I love that cockiness. But I hope this goes well past book 10 because one of my favorite scenes is in Crossroads of Twilight at the mansion.
Yep.
When
the mansion scene's good.
Yep. That's such a good scene, and Logain kept saying, "You're holding out on us. Why didn't you teach us this?" Like, I loved that scene. Like, because you can see the arrogance, but yeah, you can see the arrogance in that where he's like, why are you holding out? You're supposed to be the Dragon Reborn, but I want to be the Dragon Reborn. I still believe I'm the Dragon Reborn. Oh man, I loved how Sanderson tied that in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hope that they have embedded in that idea as writers, for sure.
Can you imagine, like, if we keep having Alvaro Morte and they really expand, like the conflict that someone as arrogant as Logain must have had? Like, he really believed he was the Dragon Reborn, but then he actually chooses to go be part of the Black Tower. Like, this must have been something that was eating away at him the whole time.
Exactly. I think you can expand on that storyline because it's so beautiful. It really is a beautiful, arrogant storyline. I love it.
Yeah. And I hope they don't lose that, right? It was always there, even when he was gentled, and you can just see that from when he was healed. Like, it never went away. Sure, that the trauma that he was experiencing affected how people perceived him, but it'd be really interesting how they choose to write him and characterize him, not just from the eyes of people that are sad for a gentled channeling, a channeler. So, yeah, it's going to be really, really fascinating of how he portrays this character. I love that you brought up eventually getting to the mansion scene. Yeah, and this is a good question, and I want to ask the panelists this Stubby, while you're still here, let me go to you first. What episode should Rafe and his team have introduced Logain? In other words, they have already made this choice. So where do you think they should have, regardless of where it ends up being, where would you have introduced him in this first season? You have 8 episodes to choose from.
I would choose episode 3.
3, okay. Yeah. What about you, Malkier King? Yep. Where would you have? If it was your choice to make, what episode would you introduce the character of Logain?
Episode 1, first episode.
You bring in the first one. What would you do, Maddie?
Just
for
Battle
first
Glees
episode.
Heliodon. I love it. Yeah,
For those of you that are
Like-
still in
like-
chat,
Like
yeah.
we have the two rivers, like we have this sleepy little village, and then we have Gildan, and we have War, and we have Logain happening at the same time.
You want to see it at the same time? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's an
episode
interesting
one.
Okay,
choice,
I
right?
like that.
For those of you that are in chat still with us, thank you for sticking around here. Hopefully you've liked the video by now. And hopefully you've subscribed if you want to see more of this live content. What is it for you? Which episode would you have chosen as Rafe expanding this? I'm seeing lots of episode 1s already. Yeah, it's an interesting question for Rafe of how well he can build up both at the same time and get you invested. I could see them having chosen episode 2. I could see it happen. I want to see it in episode 1, but I could see it happen in episode 2 potentially of really, not that they, in other words, going to him. I can see episode 1 talking about him like we see at the beginning of the books, and then kind of introducing him as the big bad that everyone's afraid of, and then actually meeting that person in episode 2. So that's what I think might happen. But episode 1, I would love.
I like that.
I'd love to see. So yeah, it's an interesting way.
I like
it's an
that,
interesting
Matt.
approach. They might do it. That might be their choice. It'll be they can choose, and they've already chosen at this point. So
I can see them introducing him in episode 1, having the battle in episode 2, and the capture in episode 3.
That could that could be. Noman Garden posted in chat. If not 1, then a cold open for 2. That could be 2. Yeah, it's a like Brent Weaver said, season 34, episode 9. Yes, exactly. Well, Stubby, thank you very much for being our final caller of the night here at the Dusty Wheel. Appreciate the call, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yep.
Whoops.
Thank you guys.
Have a good one. Good night.
Yep. You too. Bye.
Good night.
Yeah,
you
man.
usually talk about things that you're a little bit worried about.
Yeah,
I'm worried about the hair. Like
You're worried, like
Logain has to have like long, luxurious hair, and Alvaro Morte has short hair. Because of his interview, I think he's going to wear a wig. I hope the wig is good. There's actually like if you search, you can find a picture of him younger with long hair, and he says like he had long hair and he cut it because at the time, like for roles, he had to have short hair, but then long hair started being fashionable again. So I really hope the hair is good.
I like that you, and thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, is there anything Maddie is worried about the wig potentially or the long hair? Anything that's striking you as of concern here, Malkier's King, when it comes to whether or not Alvaro Morte can embody this character, or how he might approach it, or how Rafe and their team has approached this character? Yeah, any concerns?
Not specifically. No.
Are you concerned about the hair?
No, I'm sure they'll do a wig. I'm sure the wig will be fine. I mean,
It has
you
to
know
be
me
a
and
really
long
good
hair.
wig.
Please don't. Dave just in chat said, "Please don't give Logain a mullet." Yes, please don't.
Okay, if there
They
is
have a lot of money.
any
They
hint
should do
that
it
they might be
well.
giving him a mullet, then I'd be concerned.
Give him a weave. I love it. Yeah. Logain has Fabio hair, right? Is some comments. Logain's long locks. Hashtag Logain's long locks. Yes. This is now going to become a concern of fandom until we see it.
Yes.
Now. Thanks a lot, Maddie.
Yes, like this is an important issue that I hope Rafe thought about a lot, and the costume designer.
Yes.
Like the long hair is a big deal.
I hear you.
You have to get it right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have so much time to talk about every choice that was made. I'm sure Rafe and his team can't wait for that. They can't wait for all of the content that's to be created all about every choice that's coming. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's you laugh, but that's actually going to be very helpful to them, because when they watch the fandom nitpick and pick apart all these little things, then by the time they're ready to start on season 3, they'll know what they need to correct in order to make it even better for the people who want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, season 1 is a lot about that, right? Season 1 is a lot about finding where you hit the pulse right and maybe where you were off a little bit. So yeah, I agree that hopefully they will take from what the reactions are. Obviously, you can't take from all the reactions. Just like every author, they have a vision and they're going to stick to it.
Not
but-
every reaction, just ours.
just ours, exactly. That's right. Only reactions you hear at the Dusty Wheel. And with that thought, let me go back to you, Maddie. Any final notes other than being worried about the wig? Any final things you want to bring up about Alvaro Morte and Logain?
This is, out of all the casting, like this is the one that I'm the most excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't either. Malkier's King, anything you else wanted to add to that other than just kind of joy and excitement for what we're about to see?
No, I'm extremely excited. I can completely see how Alvaro will just slip into this role and bring it to life and make it exciting and cathartic and make us love him.
Yeah.
I agree. Cry, Rafe said.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Did he say that?
Yeah, he said yes. Like when they announced him, he said he's going to make you cry.
Wow. Awesome. Can't wait. I'm looking forward to them attempting to make me cry while I watch The Wheel of Time on TV. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, thank you very much for watching the show tonight, everyone. Thank you to my guests. You're wonderful. I really appreciate you spending the time to watch and actually take a deeper look at these works and try to understand the actor underneath them. And yeah, thank you very much to the viewers and the callers tonight. Appreciate you having you here at the show, and obviously live chat. Much love to live chat. It's always hopping there. I love pulling ideas and thoughts from there. So remember, we do have an after show on Discord. If you want to join the conversation, you can. The link's in the description. If you want to see any of the shows that we mentioned tonight, you can find links to those in the description here. And even some news stories that we found that we talked about earlier where we found some of that data. You can find those also there. So thank you, everybody. Make sure you're back here on Sunday talking about the Age of Legends. Next week, we'll have an episode here on Wednesday, and then we're going to JordanCon. Taylor and I are going to try to do our best to live stream some stuff from JordanCon, so be on the lookout for... Just follow us on social media. You can get us there, and you'll know what's coming. So thank you again. Thank you, Taylor, back there. Always appreciate your work, man. I don't say that enough to Taylor. He did a lot of work in prep for this and always does. So, and much love to my wife who answers all the phone calls. It's a family effort around here at the Dusty Wheel. So that being said, good night from the Dusty Wheel and Smash to Black.
Welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
You went right to kill it. Look at you. You're already. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
sad. I see Lukomi as something along the lines of a Shadar Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge! Yay!
Carol's like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all of a sudden,
this is not just
like,
a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
and
elements.
Just a moment ago, Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guests in here with me. And probably, I would say, put in 70, 80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,